Hello and welcome to the Cardboard Dungeons Star Wars Legion expansion review of General Veers. My name is Pat. Before I jump into this expansion review, I want to talk about a little bit how FFG is releasing these Legion expansions, especially the commanders. So this is the first expansion outside of the launch wave of content for Star Wars Legion. And it's odd to me that they are putting two Imperial commanders in the game at a point where there's only one Rebel commander. It seems kind of important because the commanders dictate the ebb and flow of battle. They're super important on the battlefield. They have the command cards that are very powerful and add abilities that the different commanders can do. And so as of right now, until the Leia expansion comes out for the Rebels, the Imperial side can put Vader and Veers together in their army while the Rebels have only Luke Skywalker. So it's kind of odd that they're not releasing commanders more symmetrically so that both sides have an equal number, or equal number of options at least. But we haven't really seen the full plan for Star Wars Legion expansion releases. I do understand in a couple weeks we're going to get the Snow Troopers, and probably a couple weeks after that we'll see the Leia expansion. So after a certain amount of time, things will be a little more balanced. But right now it's pretty lopsided now that the Imperials have a second commander option. But so looking at the figure itself, it's kind of hard to do these commander style guys like military commanders in any sort of like action or interesting pose, but I think they did a good job here. He's drawing his rifle off of his hip. He's fairly dynamically posed for a guy who most likely wants to stay near the back and not really do a whole lot of fighting himself. This is definitely a support commander, as we're going to see, which is a nice balance because Vader and Luke, the commanders we have out of the core box, are both sort of frontline battlefield commanders. They want to get into the fight. They're melee guys for the most part. So let's jump right in looking at General Veers' card here. He costs 80 points. Down on his upgrade bar, we have a new type of upgrade we did not see out of the core box. This is the command upgrade. He can take 2 of those, and he can also take an equipment upgrade. Then at the bottom on his weapon slots, he can fight in melee with 2 black dice, and he's also packing the E11 blaster rifle, same weapon that the stormtroopers have, although Veers' is a little better. He gets 3 white dice instead of 1 at range 1 to 3, and his gun also has Pierce 1, so he will ignore 1 block result when he shoots his rifle. And then his speed is 2, pretty typical. He does convert attack surges to critical hits, which is very cool, and it makes those white dice a little more dangerous when he shoots his rifle. But we're also going to see he does have a single attack he's going to be able to make during a match that's going to help out on as well. And we'll talk about that when we get to his command cards. And then above that we see he has 5 health. He has a courage value of 2, and he does get the red defense die. Now, looking at the middle of the card, all of the abilities that General Veers gets. He has Spotter 2. The first time we've seen this keyword, it does use an action. Lets him choose up to 2 friendly units at range 1 and give them each an aim token, so that's pretty cool. He has Inspire 1, which is after his rally step, he can remove up to 1 suppression token from another friendly unit at range 1 or 2. He has Precise 1. It's odd that they don't give you in parentheses what that does on this card, but we know from the core box. Stormtroopers have this as well. It lets you reroll an additional die when you spend an aim token. And then we also have Sharpshooter 1, which is another new keyword we haven't seen yet. While performing a ranged attack, reduce the defender's cover by 1. So all in all, not terrible. Some nice support abilities in Spotter and Inspire. I don't really know how much fighting this guy's going to do, but he can bring it a little bit if he has to. So that is General Veers and his abilities. Now let's take a look at the cards that you get. These are all new cards. We haven't seen any of these yet out of any other expansion. So we're going to start with the command upgrades. There's 2 of them. Esteemed Leader, costing 5 points. It says, while you are defending, each friendly core trooper unit at range 1 gains Guardian 1. That means that they can cancel a regular hit result. And for each result canceled this way, you need to roll a defense die and convert any surges and then suffer a wound for each blank result. That actually makes stormtroopers near Veers fairly capable of soaking up wounds that are coming his way. So if he gets shot and 2 hits get through, 2 nearby stormtroopers can cancel those hits, and then they can roll defense dice as if they were coming at them. And so they have, with the red defense die, has a pretty decent chance of just canceling those hits. So if you don't want Veers to take damage, keep some troopers nearby, and they can take the hits for him. And then the other one is Commanding Presence, costing 10 points, and it simply says when you issue orders, you can issue orders at range 4. So it increases out your command area from range 3 to range 4. Pretty cool, especially for a guy like Veers who wants to be a command from the rear type of a guy. He wants to stick back, stay near his shooters, and give them those aim tokens to make them shoot better. And then we have one equipment upgrade, environmental gear. It costs 3 points. It says you gain unhindered. You can ignore the effects of difficult terrain, which normally reduces your movement speed. So that's pretty cool. I have a feeling that we're going to see this in the Snowtrooper expansion as well, and we may see it in some other trooper expansions on the Rebel side coming up too. So get ready for more copies of this if Legion follows what they've been doing with their upgrade strategy in giving both sides access to everything pretty equally. And finally, you get 3 command cards. So this is the first time in Legion we've had the option of adding in different command cards to your command hand for the Imperials. Now you have to follow all the rules for building your command hand, but this gives you at least a little bit of deck building that you can do. Now you can take out the generic 1, 2, and 3 pip command cards, and you can put Veers's in, along with Vader's if you have them both. Or you can mix and match however you see fit. I don't know why you wouldn't put in the special ones that are keyed toward a commander, but of course it's risky. Like if you put all 6 command cards from Veers and Vader, they lose the ability to play those command cards if that commander is taken out of action. So you would lose any unplayed command cards from those guys, and you would be down to only standing orders. Especially if you lost them both, it would be pretty devastating, but the game's probably over at that point, so I don't see why you wouldn't put these in. So let's take a look at Veers' command card, starting with his 1 pip card, Maximum Firepower. This one I think is super cool. What this basically does is at the end of his activation, he can perform an attack using this following weapon. And this is a mighty weapon. It is range 4+. So range 1 to 3, it's not going to affect. So he can make a long range, basically like he's calling in an artillery strike or an AT-AT from off the board. Rolls 4 red dice, and it has impact 2, which means it's going to convert 2 hits into crits against armored vehicles. And it is immune to deflect. So Vader or Luke, as the recipient of this attack, they can't use their deflect ability to return hits. So this is, I don't know why you wouldn't just use this right out of the gate. Start of the match, you're rolling 4 red dice against pretty much anything on the other side of the field. And it happens after Veers' activation, which means that and he's making the attack. So if he gives himself an aim token, and then he can also convert surges into criticals because it's his attack. This thing, it's got a high chance of delivering 4 hits. And if you win the initial card play and go first, you're probably going to catch whatever you're shooting at. If you're going to shoot at a trooper unit to try to soften them up, you're probably catching them out of cover. So, man, just a super good card. Of course, once per match you play this and then you never get this card back. But you can open strong with a big hit before the enemy has a chance to do much of anything, which sounds like something an Imperial commander like Veers would definitely do. And this command card activates Veers, so you give an order to Veers himself with this card. That's where you know your token's going to be. So he's going to basically go first if you want him to when your turn comes around. Next up, we have the 2-pip command card, Evasive Maneuvers. This lets you issue commands to 2 vehicles. And it says when a friendly vehicle unit is issued an order, it gains a dodge token. Friendly vehicle units can spend dodge tokens to cancel critical results, which is outside of the normal rule. Dodge tokens are normally unable to do that. So pretty cool. Veers, of course, is a vehicle commander. The only time we ever saw him, he was in the AT-AT cockpit in Empire Strikes Back. And this seems like a thing that he would do, making his vehicles more durable and being a vehicle commander. And then finally, the 3-pip command card, Imperial Discipline, lets you issue orders to Veers and also 2 units of your choice. And it says when a friendly unit is issued an order, it may recover. And so what recover does, if you're not familiar, it lets you refresh any exhausted upgrade cards on the unit. So this is going to be super useful, especially right now in the game for those stormtrooper units, the ones that are carrying the missile launchers that are good anti-armor. You have to exhaust that stormtrooper when he fires, and then you have to use a recover action normally to refresh him so he can shoot again. But with Veers around, you basically get a free recover outside of your normal actions. So that's very cool. Nice selection of command cards from General Veers. So that's the Veers expansion for Star Wars Legion. Very cool. It's nice to see these support commanders coming into the game. That's always something that's neat in these tabletop war games, is getting a commander that makes his troops better. And that's exactly what you get with General Veers. He is kind of pricey, but 80 points is less than 200 points, which is what Darth Vader costs. And for those points, he does a lot for his units, which is very cool. So I think he's a worthy addition to the Imperial forces of Star Wars Legion. All right, as always, thanks for watching the Cardboard Dungeon. I'll see you next time.